Hi, and welcome to a special conversation today concerning dyslexia. Now, as a former educator and the spouse of someone who owns a tutoring business, this is a particularly interesting topic for me. First, some facts. Between 13 to 14% of all students nationwide has a handicap condition that qualifies them for special ed through either an IEP or a 504 plan. Now, of that 13 to 14%, about half have a true learning disability. Now, follow the numbers. Of that half, 85% has a primary learning disability in reading processing and language. But what does it all mean? Let's take a sample size of 5,000 students. Around 750 of them would qualify for services, and 375 of those would be diagnosed with a true disability. And of that 375, 318 of them would have a condition like dyslexia. That's almost 7% of the 5,000 people. 7% have dyslexia or something like it, dysphagia, dysgraphia. Now, if you run a school, that number is bringing down your scores, but it's due to lack of intervention, not lack of IQ. These aren't kids that are way behind grade level. These are kids that just need some strategy. And just to leave 7% out there straggling is crazy. You could employ strategies through an IEP or a 504 plan, such as extra time on an assignment or having an assessment read aloud to you. According to the International Dyslexia Association, dyslexia is a language-based learning disability. It refers to a cluster of symptoms which results in people having difficulties with specific language skills, particularly reading. The best way to diagnose dyslexia is through a comprehensive evaluation, either with your school or through a primary care provider. Some obvious signs that you or someone you love may be struggling with dyslexia are problems learning to speak, learning letters and their sounds, memorizing number facts, spelling correctly, and or doing math operations. And that's just a few. If you can get an evaluation, you can learn that there are options. Ideally, a person might want to get evaluated going into middle school or sometime during middle school before the stakes get too elevated. I would suggest that there is no blame and shame or a specific cause that you can attribute to the development of dyslexia. It is simply, at this time, seen as a brain development issue. If a child gets evaluated and learns that kind of metadata about themselves, who they are, why they are, and how they are, they can begin to adapt. They can gain confidence and ultimately move forward without many sacrifices, if any at all. But don't take it from me. Let me introduce you to a young lady who knows firsthand. After the show, I want you to look in the show notes for 3 links that you must visit to learn more about dyslexia and how it may impact your life and what you can do about it. And now the show. Please, if you like my content, take a moment and go over to Apple Podcasts, Amazon Prime, Spotify, or YouTube and like and subscribe to my content. It helps the algorithm find my content for you and for others. And I thank you. Today is October 29th, 2025, and I'm connecting back with a former student, a friend, and the daughter of some personal friends, MacKenzie Angwin, who is going through life with a disability known as dyslexia. Now, her journey is not necessarily unusual, but it is complicated. I hope to learn more about dyslexia because, as you know, knowledge is power. I'm T. Glenn of T. Bones Jones Media, and this is Conversations with T. I'd like to now welcome MacKenzie Angwin.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
What have you been up to lately?
I've been busy, working, just hanging out. Nothing crazy.
And when you say working, you do some bartending locally?
I do. I bartend. And then I've been traveling a little bit for work too. I think we'll get into some of that.
Should we shout out to any of the local bars?
I work at Bourbon Street and the Old Irish Pub.
Both in
So
Myrtle
come
Beach.
See me. Yeah.
Yeah. Come see MacKenzie Angwin. Good. And so those are late hours.
Yes, they are. Nighttime jobs.
It's a nighttime job. You sleep in a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the hours are crazy.
They are.
But it's fun. I like it.
Tips are good?
Tips are good.
Good. That's good. Good. Well, for many of you who may not know, I taught MacKenzie Angwin in high school twice, and we had a blast.
Yeah, we did.
Those were good times, and it's fun I have to say, it's fun for me to see you grow up and sort of experience the trials and tribulations that go with figuring out what you want to do in life and adulthood.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. What did we say? It's been like 10 years since the first time you had me. Something like that.
Something like that, 10 years.
Yeah.
So we've known it. We go back.
Yeah, we do.
We go back.
Yeah.
And now my wife and your dad are in business together.
They are.
So that
Full
brings
circle moment.
Full circle. Good stuff. Look, I'd like to just ask you for fun. What's the first memory you have of being in my Journalism 1 class, which you would have been a freshman?
Yes. It's super weird, but I remember being in the computer lab. We were doing something, whatever project we were doing that we had to be in the lab. And I was partnered with a girl who was addicted to making herself sneeze.
Okay.
I don't know why I remember that, but she would take a toothpick and just tickle her nose and make herself sneeze.
That is too much.
And I was a freshman, and I'm like, what is going on?
Was she a freshman?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because it was a mix of grades in journalism classes. So
Journalism 1 was a class anyone could take. So we had anybody from freshman to senior in there. And we were in the computer lab because there were more computers than there were in my classroom.
Right.
And we wanted to be able to have that access. And we were doing like newsletters. So it was kind of like a newspaper. And you were teamed with a few people.
Yep.
And you remember that there was a girl who was tickling her nose so she could sneeze.
Yes. Super weird.
Was she receiving attention because of this? Or was it just like a nervous habit?
No, I think it was just a nervous habit. Like, I only knew because she was in my group, you know? Like, I don't think... You probably didn't know that she did that.
I never knew that she did that.
Yeah, I think it was just a nervous thing.
That is so funny.
But I don't know why I remember that. I think just because it was weird.
So, if you're a teacher, every year you get new kids. And you really enjoy the process of watching the kids go through 4 years of high school and send them off. And you also really love, the next group is always exciting and with new challenges. You don't know what you're going to get. But it's easy to lose sight of what happens to those who graduate. But for you, I've gotten to sort of keep up with you a little bit, but talk a little bit about what your journey after high school was like in terms of education. You left Myrtle Beach High, and what?
I went to Horry Georgetown for a year, and then I transferred to South Carolina, USC. Went there for a semester, and then I ended up taking a gap year. And then I ended up finishing at Horry Georgetown after that gap year.
Okay, so Horry Georgetown Tech is our sort of like community college.
Right.
So you start there and then you transfer to USC, which is in Columbia. It's our big state school. And how'd that go for you?
It was difficult. I was going from, which Horry Georgetown is a smaller school. So I'm in classrooms with 20, 25 people max. So going to South Carolina was a big, like, I have 100 plus people in each class. So that was a little bit harder for me just because I'm so used to like more intimate classroom stuff.
Do you think there's something that happens in your brain when you are third row in a 20-person class versus 15th row in a 100-person class?
Yeah, or you're like up in an auditorium.
Up in auditorium.
Yeah.
What happens?
It's hard to just pay attention. There's so much going on, just with that many people surrounding you. I was just very distracted. It was very hard to, which I was never like up in the auditorium. I would always sit kind of closer to the front because of that. I don't know. It's very different vibes.
Could you feel the presence of everyone behind you?
Oh yeah.
Even though that you don't see them?
Oh yes, for sure.
So there's something about that just is difficult to navigate.
Yes. I think even going from high school to or Georgetown too, it was still kind of that same high school classroom feel too. So I didn't really know anything different. So when you go from that to a university where it's bigger classrooms and more kids or students, it's difficult, yeah.
Well, you take a gap year. What'd you do in your gap year?
I went to Australia. So I ended up being an au pair, which is a nanny. So I like saved up money the first half of the year, and then I went to Australia the second half. And I lived with a family, and I was basically I was their nanny.
And was this in Sydney or Brisbane?
Yeah, I was right outside of Sydney. It was called Caringbah. It's a suburb of Sydney. Okay. So I was like 45 minutes from the opera house and the bridge. So I was still like outside the city,
right,
but still in Sydney.
Okay. Well, was that a fun experience?
It was the best experience.
Really?
Yes.
That is cool.
I went by myself across the world. I didn't know anyone. It was just like I had video chatted with the family that I was living with a couple of times, but it was just like I landed. I didn't think far ahead, so my phone didn't work. So it was just like I just had to kind of wing it and get my luggage and find that family and all the things, but it all worked out. But it was a really good experience because I obviously will get into why I took the gap year, but I learned so much about me. I was put in really uncomfortable positions that I had to like figure it out. I didn't have a choice but to figure it out. So it was a really fun experience. I would do it again.
Now, when you got back from that, you decided to get back into school.
Yes.
At that point, did you know you were dyslexic at that point?
Yes. I found out when I was at South Carolina.
So you made it all the way through kindergarten and school up through 12th grade before you knew you were dyslexic.
Yes.
So in what context did you find that out?
It was my sophomore year of college. I was going to South Carolina. And in college, your grades are based off of tests mostly. Like you have a midterm and a final, and then that determines your grade. In a lot of classes.
Especially in those early classes, those large classes.
Yes.
They're not grading 100 people's homework every night.
Right.
So it's just big grades that matter.
Right. So it was getting to that finals time, and I didn't do well on any of my midterms. I believe I was in 5 classes. I was in 4 or 5. But I was getting to that finals point, and I was studying, I was going to tutoring, I was going to professors' office hours, and I was just super anxious. I'm like, I don't think, like, I know this information, but if I fail this final, like, I fail the class. So that just in the back of your head was super scary, yeah. So I ended up coming home the week before finals, and my dad's a tutor. So I was like, I'm super anxious, sit down with me. I have all my notes, all my things, all like the tools that even the tutors would give me, everything. I was like, let's just go over everything. And I'm like, ask me anything. I know what the information is. Like, I pay attention. Like, I'm not just not trying.
Right.
Like, I'm trying.
You're trying to prove to your dad
Yeah.
also that, like, I'm doing everything I know how to do.
Yeah. So I did just that, came home. He asked me anything. I knew all the information in the notes. He would just quiz me on random things. I would have like the midterm tests, or not the test, but like
the study guides.
The study guides and stuff like that. So I knew everything that he had asked me, and then took the final exams and failed all of the finals. I think I got a D on one of them.
So you didn't do well. Then what?
Then my dad said, well, like I said, he's a tutor, has a tutoring business. He specializes in kids with dyslexia. So he was like, why don't we go and get you, I don't think it's tested. What's another word? Evaluated. For dyslexia, because that doesn't make sense. Like, now I've proved to him I know the information, and then the results weren't there. So,
and I guess what's interesting is, how do you account for making it all the way to this point without being able to describe that you're dyslexic?
I think there were always signs, but I was just right there. Like, I was that average, like, in all my like standardized testing and everything, I was like right there. Like, just made it to where it was like I was okay to go.
To keep going.
Yeah.
And so the evaluation took place?
Yep. So we ended up traveling to Pennsylvania, and just because my dad knew a specialist.
Someone he had experience with.
Yeah. So went there, saw her, got evaluated. And the evaluation takes a long time. I'm pretty sure I sat there from start to finish for 4 hours, no break. But I was in college. I was like, let's just get this over with.
Right.
And I work hard. So got evaluated, and then it takes a while to get your results back too, because it's not just like all right, you can like see it. Like, she's got to go through, and it's a whole report that she comes up with. So probably about a month later, maybe a little over.
It's not a scorecard.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like, it's her or his evaluation narrative based on everything.
Yeah, and it's a whole like thick, like the results she writes it all. So that happened, and about a month later, it came back, and it's a scale. So you could be like a severe case or a mild case. It's like mild to severe. It's a line like that, and I kind of fell right in the middle.
Okay.
So I have it.
You definitely have it.
Yeah, I was like right there in the middle. So, yeah, that was a crazy. When I found out I had it, it all made sense. I'm like, this is why I felt the way I felt. And it's a lot of like feeling stupid and not like dumb.
Yeah.
Compared to other.
Right. It's impossible
students.
Not to compare yourself when you're a young person.
Right.
You're very social, and you're sort of witnessing everyone's growing up around you, as well as your own experience. And when you see someone who appears to be aloof in class, takes some notes, blazes through the test and gets an A. It's a real slap in the face if you're the opposite.
Right.
And it's hard not
sure.
to feel that comparison. So this validated, this was like an aha moment.
Yes, for sure. I kind of just fell through the cracks because I was always a good student. I showed I worked hard. I got good grades. My test scores were right there, average.
Right.
So it's like I just kind of like slipped in the unknown of like,
In that middle ground.
Yeah.
You didn't fail bad enough
yeah,
to send a
for
signal.
it to be like a red flag.
Right.
Oh, something's wrong here. Yeah, that just shows how hard I worked too
So,
to get there.
yeah, for sure. And so this evaluation kind of set the stage for how you were going to navigate the next chunk of college. Do you find that dyslexia affects your immediate life?
I think it does, but it's not. I've got to the point where it's not as super noticeable, I feel like. Like it's kind of just like what I'm used to. So dyslexia is a learning disability that affects reading, writing, sounds, like just kind of that whole way of reading words, all those things.
The whole processing of language.
Yeah, language. Yeah.
Right.
So it does affect every day. I mean, you're always reading something. Like language is everywhere. So, and it's not just like, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, she's dyslexic or whoever's dyslexic, so they like see things backwards. You know, have you heard that before?
Right.
Like they'll just like, or letters will be switched, and that's really not what it is. I feel like that happens to everyone. Like everyone stared at a book or a page, and it's like you got to blink for a second because it's like, whoa, what's going on here? That's backwards. It's more just like a comprehension thing. Like if I read something, I'll probably have to read it a couple more times to understand it. And even just saying that, like you do feel stupid. Because you could read something and the first time you're like, yeah, this is exactly what it means. When I have to read it a couple more times, that's not to say it's because I'm dumb. It just, I need to process it a little bit different than a person without it.
So slow reading is not dyslexia, but it's the processing of it.
Yes.
That is so we're all different in how we do that. But for those whose processing is fragmented or incredibly cumbersome or needs extraordinary assistance. In other words, especially when you're young, you may not figure it out by yourself. You may need to hang back and listen to other people put it together for you to sort of go, oh, that's how they did it. And still, it's hard.
That case scenario happened often where it's like you said, read this paragraph, answer the questions, we'll talk about it. Now in my head, I'm like, I'm on a time crunch and I know it's going to take me longer than a lot of these people. And it would be like, I would feel like I had to rush. Like there was like that anxiety that you're like, you can't, not that I was worried about being the last one done, but I just wanted to be done before we started talking about it. Or if the teacher was like, is everyone done? It's like, that's your worst nightmare when you're not. Because you're like, wow, she thinks we should be done. So I'm not done.
She's like setting the standard.
Right. But then it's, if like you and I were working next to each other, well, have dyslexia, but you're just a slow reader. And I feel like that's why they just blend in, because it's not
They're not
like
the
you
same,
can just,
but they look the same.
But they look the same.
Right.
Yeah. So
what kinds of things, how did you compensate? In your case, it was processing. What did you do to navigate that?
I don't even really know, because I didn't know the tools. You know, like I kind of like had to come up with them myself without even knowing.
So what did you come up with?
I mean, I would just, anytime I had to, in high school, all through school until college, you have classwork. It's like your grade's an average of multiple different things and not just a test. So I knew getting to a test taking point, I was going to be very average, borderline like low scores on a test. So, but I could take my time on the classwork and the other things that average out my grade. So I did that because I think without even knowing it, just did really well with made sure I gave the time I needed with other things, knowing in the back of my head the test wasn't going to be great.
So your strategy was to do all the things that you can be successful at to ace those.
Right.
And pad your grade so that when the tests and quizzes start factoring in, it's not destroying you.
Right. And I could do a lot of that work behind the scenes. Like it was a lot of homework and stuff. So I feel like I had to study, I had to work hard. I spent more time studying than other people would.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does.
And I would do that. And not taking away from people, they just didn't have to. Like I had to take that time to do that. So that's what I would do. And some cases, like if I knew we were going to have a test or whatever, I would ask my teacher for like a study guide or like a practice test that I could study with. Because I think a lot of the test taking too was just the anxiety behind the test as well. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I can't read it. I could read it. It would take me time, but it's like it was that comprehension thing. Like I wasn't always grasping exactly what it was asking me. Like I needed, and some of those tests, and especially once you got to high school, it's like they're tricking you.
Yes.
It could be a couple different answers, and it's like that doesn't mean I don't know the information. I just read the question, I comprehended it this way, and I answered it this way, but the answers were too close together. But I just had to study more.
Yeah. And first of all, to your credit, knowing what you needed to do to be successful and doing it at an instinctive level, I think is something that'll serve you well, because all the greats, I believe, put the time in. And so that's a really good trait to have.
But even that's where I think I loved presenting. Like if I had to make a presentation, I was the person that was like, oh yeah, I'll stand up in front of however many people I need to, but I felt more prepared. Like I knew the information, so I could talk about it all day long.
Because of how hard you worked at
Yeah.
it.
So presenting, and I feel like that was like the opposite to some people. Like test takers don't want to stand up there and present. And of course I'm nervous, but I'm like, I'm more confident in it because I know what I'm talking about versus just trying to prove it on paper.
And it's also part of your strategy. It's one of
Yeah.
those things you had to nail
Yeah.
to avoid, to compensate for your test scores.
Yeah.
So when you got to college, you had your evaluation. Were there any other techniques or things that you had learned by that time that you had begun to employ?
By that time, like when I went back to school after finding out, it was during COVID, so it was all online. But then my dad has the tutoring business, so I would sit with tutors for every class pretty much, especially the English ones.
A lot of people who have dyslexia have an IEP, if they know they have it,
Right.
or a 504 plan, which is a government stipulation that allows a student to have access to resources that mainstream kids don't have, which could include things like extra time or having the test read to you or fewer questions. No need to have 7 of the same type of question.
Right.
That type of strategy.
Anytime I had to take a test or anything like that, I would have someone read it to me.
So, it's literally proof of concept that if you read the test in isolation and let's say had a class period to finish it, your scores are going to be lower than if you had no perceived time limit and someone else reading it to you. Your scores are better.
Yes, absolutely. And that's when I even think about the ACT and SAT. Those were my worst nightmares.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I lied about my scores.
To your friends?
To my friends, to everyone. No one really knew exactly what my scores were. That was a thing. It's like, you did just talk about it. It's like, oh, I scored this or I scored this. And like, my friends were so smart. They had high scores.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were lying too, but I still had to like fall in that like, all right, I can't go
be
too
higher
high
than them.
because so I like put myself at the average, but not like as low as they really were.
Right. Talk a little bit, real brief, about the nature of the job you've had most of this time.
What I do is, it's a marketing company, and they represent a brand. And basically what I do is we travel around to a bunch of different events all around the country. Bigger events like music festivals, NASCAR races, street festivals.
The kinds of places where booths are.
Yes, yeah, like where vendors are. Any events that there's a vendor, and we promote a product. So I started as a brand ambassador right off that was the position that I emailed in for. And then I ended up becoming a manager. So my job was, I had a different team every event that we went to, and I would train them on how to talk about the brand and just kind of like be there for them from start to finish. Yeah. It's called experimental marketing. So it's like you're kind of out in the field, you have a target market, and you kind of, those people will gravitate towards you naturally because of what the product was.
It's a job, it travels, it pays well, it gives you experience talking with people.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is what it is, and it's all about what it does for you.
Right.
Right at the end of the day, it doesn't mean you have to be an avid user of the product or any of that kind of business.
Right. No, I feel like not a lot of people realize that world exists, because it's not just, I just so happen to work for that brand, but there's so many brands that do the same thing.
So in the course of this job, how did dyslexia disrupt or threaten to disrupt your sort of work life?
Yeah, I think it helped. I don't know how to exactly say this, but I wasn't confident in working for them, or like kind of being in that world, because it was new, it was uncomfortable. But I feel like the dyslexia kind of holds you back a little bit with that confidence, because you don't want to look stupid and you want to do your job well. And it was kind of just different because like we said, I have to take that extra time to make sure I know things right. So even when I'm learning how to talk about a product or whatever it is, I have to read about it and do all of that. And then I have to read about it and know it well enough to train other people on it. So I gained more confidence with being in the position I'm in, but definitely at the beginning, I say that all the time. I was a manager for 4 years. How I was at the beginning and how I am now is completely different, because I gained that confidence in learning how to do it myself. Like learning how to learn.
Learning how to learn.
Yeah.
And so like on the outset, like if you're going to go fly somewhere and talk to people, that sounds like a classroom project. That sounds like you're getting up in front of everybody and talking. That sounds like what you're good at.
Right.
But it is information that you don't just know from your own background. So you had to learn the information. And then with it comes that age-old sort of inner shame that I'm going to fail at this, that this is bad. There's no way I can do this.
Well, and just the confidence in my own decisions. Like I'm in a different city, different group of people. Like I have to adapt to a new place, new people every time I worked. So it was like kind of, At the beginning, it was a lot of like, well, what would so-and-so do? Let me ask them. And then I would kind of like tag along with what they would do, when now it's like I did gain that confidence that my ideas are good. You know, I don't have to like hide behind looking stupid.
Absolutely.
Like I felt like I did for a long time.
But I really appreciate the fact that you asked questions
Yes.
and you observed. I feel like a lot of people are hiding in plain sight. They're scared to be authentic, and so they kind of fake it till they make it, and they may never make it, but they're faking it because they don't have even the courage to ask the questions that are racking their brain that would take them to the next level.
Right.
And so you were willing to look, talk, think, and triangulate what this looks like. I'm going to sort of look at what they're doing. I'm going to listen to what they're doing, and I'm going to do that and see how successful that is. And then I'm going to trust myself.
Yeah.
And away I go.
It is a cool little like transition, I feel like, that you get, because you're right. It's like I had a lot of good mentors, like a lot of people that were above me that I looked up to want to not be like them, but I like looked at how they did things and I liked it. But it's like then as you kept doing it, and it was like I would take that, but then I would like put my own little twist on it, on how to like approach things. And like I said, I'm working with different people in different places every single weekend, so I had to be ready to adapt to whatever was happening, and it was different every single time.
Yeah. The variables, the dynamics of new people on your team, a new town, new challenges. Maybe the event gets rained out for half the day, or you just have to be able to roll. I think that's how we progress as people. You have to look at what has come before you, and you have to try to build on that.
Oh, I agree. I feel like that's just with everything too. And that is probably a strategy of how I do things without even really being aware that I do it that way, because I am very observant. So I'm like, even it is an easy example to do it in work, but anyone that is in a position above you, it's not that necessarily they could be doing something wrong, but I did catch myself being like, I don't know if I would do it that way. And that's kind of how I like gained that confidence to be like, wait, I have good ideas. I don't have to do it that way because I can do it this way.
Yeah.
And the goal still gets done. We reached the same goal in a couple different ways.
All right, so let's wrap up some of this dyslexia talk.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree? Dyslexia still holds you back in your career?
I think disagree. I don't think it does. I feel like I know how to navigate it more. And even talking about that confidence thing, like I will admit to it. Like even if I had a little mess up, or I read a word wrong, or whatever the case is, I'm like, yeah, I'm dyslexic. And I kind of just like make light of it, of, that's the dyslexia coming out, you know?
And that allows you to sort of laugh through it.
Yeah.
But continue to learn and focus on the part that you need to know.
Yeah. As hard as it was finding out, like I said, it made everything make sense. So it's like, yeah, I went through the mad, the sad, because more of just like you think about what ifs. Oh, yeah. If I knew, like, what if I knew, then I would have passed this test, or I would have got a better score here, or I wouldn't have looked stupid there. So it was a lot of those, but once it was kind of past that, it's like, wow, I can actually just learn how to adapt to it and do things that work for me. Like now I know I have it, so there's the answer. Now might as well just embrace it. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. I just need to learn things differently.
Correct. And that's where everybody needs to be able to get to with whatever ails them.
Yeah.
But no matter how you got here, you feel very comfortable and confident now that there's literally nothing you can't do, regardless of how much time it takes.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a great place to be. And I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm certainly, and that's somewhere like you want people living with disabilities to embrace them, because that's when you're set free.
Right.
And a disability has such a unfortunately negative or ambiguous connotation that many people don't want to be stuck with a stigma,
Right.
especially in their younger years. So they'll fight it, but it's empowering to know at a meta level who you are, why you are the way you are, because then you can do anything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's just with anything, like you said. It doesn't just have to be dyslexia or whatever that is. It's easier when you just learn about it and learn how it works for you.
What would you tell parents who have kids that may struggle with language in some way? And what kind of advice would you give them to help their children get to where you are eventually, if not sooner?
Right. I would say teach them about it. Like, learn whatever the disability is and explain it. I feel like that's what helped me, of like, when I understood what it was, then it helped.
What are the signals parents should look for?
If their kids are dyslexic or
Or
not.
yeah.
I think I think you can find out fairly young if they are, because even I know, just because like when kids are learning how to write and they write a letter backwards or whatever, that's not a tell all of, oh, they have dyslexia. Like, they're just learning how to write. So I think it happens when they're a little bit older, and I would just look for signs, like if they are hiding, like if they're not really expressing the full thing of like, I don't know. I feel like as a kid, you're not, like, I didn't know. So it is really hard to pinpoint, like, oh, you should look for this, you should look for this. Because just like me, I have it, and I kind of went under the radar.
It just comes to my mind that parents who think their child may have comprehension or language difficulties should probably have their child tested.
Yes.
And I would say, I'm guessing around the beginning of middle school, what would you?
I would say about the same, like late elementary, early middle school would be good, because that's when you can read, you can write. You're kind of getting into those classes where it's
more important.
More important, yeah. I would say about that time, but I feel like if even just something so simple as having them read out loud to you, or have them read something and talk about what you read, whether you're a slow reader, fast reader, doesn't matter. I feel like that could tell you a lot too.
Towards whether or not you should get testing done or
Correct.
Or seek some assistance.
Yes.
Well, it's not easy to talk about disabilities, especially if you have one. It's not easy to be vulnerable and to be honest and open. So I really thank you for sharing your journey. I was privileged to have been a part of that, and not in a context where you had to do a lot of serious reading.
Yeah.
Which probably made our experience seem that much more just normal.
Yeah.
Were you in my broadcast journalism class? So I had you in 3 classes.
Yeah.
I forget that. Journalism 1, broadcast journalism, and yearbook.
Yeah.
All of which were not academically stressful from a reading standpoint.
No.
Well, I really appreciate you, MacKenzie, and it's great to spend time with you. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. If you know someone who may struggle to read or with language skills, comprehension, we're talking about age-appropriate material, please suggest to them at the very least to talk with a primary physician or seek counseling or tutoring, if not an academic evaluation. And
sure.
remember, as I like to say, think for yourself. Lean on common sense, be kind, and if you can, join me in this contemplation of one love. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Sweet.